casual remark, not thinking that it would be included in the interview, but it was on tape. She went back to London, played the tape to her editor, and she knew what a devastating effect this would have if it came out. And because she was his friend, she sort of tried to protect him. But she said, oh, well, look, there's this thing. He said it, but I think we should not, try and reveal what happened. Yeah. The editor, being, the editor, said, no way, that is the story. So all the other stuff was forgotten about. The sort of racial story became the thing. And it became a worldwide sort of viral story that the inventor of DNA says that black people will never be as intelligent as white people. He lost all his funding. I think his all the sort of funders in the States pulled out. His research center is now no longer there, and he's ruined basically for the rest of his life. And all those fantastic achievements that he had are gone like that, just because of one sort of slip remark. That
it was never meant to be.
Yeah, so you've got to be super careful when you're with journalists that you don't say anything that you shouldn't.
Yeah.
The good news is that journalists can't control what comes out of your mouth. You have 100% control.
They say you can't blame the journalists for what came out of your mouth.
No, exactly. You can't control what they write. You can't control how they cut your interview. You can't control the tone of how they present you, but you have 100% control of what comes out of your mouth. And if you don't say it, a journalist can't write it, a journalist can't broadcast it. So, with a little bit of self-control and watching out for the traps that some journalists will try and set for you, you can definitely be absolutely fine. I mean, but the good news is that most of us don't have a secret as big as that Jim Watson one hiding in the back of our brains, and are just looking to promote our businesses. So I wouldn't think that you've got anything to worry about. Unless it turns out you are a massive racist. But I don't think most people are.
But that it's interesting you say that, because, and this obviously has probably nothing to do with the media, but it's actually very similar. And I'll probably give 2 examples whereby, in the corporate, I'm a professional negotiator, and obviously I worked with like multi-million pound contracts. So I worked with like CEOs and that kind of level. And, one time I was sort of working on this project. It was a massive project, I think probably about 7 million pounds. And the gentleman who was the CEO of the company I was working with was away, was at some meetings in US. And so he couldn't come for the pre-meeting that I wanted to have. And so he asked his head of sales to actually be there. And I rang him because I kind of knew they kind of didn't qualify, but we had a business relationship, and therefore it's only right that they included in the process. So I wanted them to give them a chance, because you can work so many things out to make a contract work. And so I had a conversation with this head of sales, and I said, you know what? And I actually, he couldn't do within the time frame that I had set. But because we had a relationship with him, I said, you know what? Okay, let me just allow you an extra day, 2 days. We agreed the day we would have the meeting. But the most bizarre thing happened. It was a very normal conversation, right? A very professional conversation. But from the meeting room, when I finished the conversation, back to my desk, he had sent an email supposedly to his colleague, right?
Right.
But that little button called like reply to all?
Oh, yeah.
It's a very dangerous button, because I don't know, he had deleted his colleagues, right? And replied to me. It was the most racist thing.
Oh, really?
It was so racist. I couldn't speak. I was sitting at my desk, totally stunned, thinking that's not the person I just spoke to.
Yeah.
So very, very similar. So I'm thinking it can't be the same person. We had a very professional conversation, but this was a very racist email to his colleague. And of course, it was a business decision. So I had to involve like the management. I was actually really senior to actually say it's a business decision at the end of the day, but I would never work with them. And in terms of what do we do next, because I mean, it was so racist. And for them to be having that conversation as colleagues within the same company, it would mean it's endemic within the company. That's my conclusion. And so the things that people say outside of the camera, outside of the interview, is off record, right? It can be detrimental. So of course, they never got the contract and they never worked with the organization again after that. And I think also recently there's the whole thing about the slave owners, and there's a recent BBC program, I think, on Wednesday.
Yeah, I saw it.
Slave. You said that one, right? Yeah. And it goes on to say about some big name in the film industry in US when they were doing a show, how when they found out that, I don't know whether it was a great-great-grandfather that owned slaves, right? Yeah. And he was like, we can't talk about that because it's going to ruin my reputation. It's not good for me. I think
it was Ben Affleck, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And of course, it came out. It's it's a example of what you say that you don't want covered, but actually you mentioned it. Yeah. So that's a classic example. We're actually going to take a break. And we are going to then come back. We still have quite a lot to cover. So if you're listening to SpeakonRadio.com, hosted by Blog Talk Radio. And today is our very, very first ever interview. We're going to listen to One Word by Cartel. Stay tuned.
You are listening to SpeakonRadio.com. Be seen, be heard, be present. The place where entrepreneurs, business owners, speakers, authors, actors, politicians, creative people and media experts are empowered and inspired to broadcast their passion. SpeakonRadio.com is a radio platform that has you in mind, bringing you not only inspiration, but practical solutions and opportunities to release your greatness. Tune in now at SpeakonRadio.com. That is SpeakonRadio.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to SpeakonRadio.com with Sarah and my guest at Pete Water, and we are talking about dealing with the media, discovering how to use the media to promote yourself, promote your brand, and build a massive business. It's like fast tracking yourself to the top, because obviously if you get there, you get publicity, front page, second, third page, you are done. People will start contacting you, and that's why it's important you stay tuned to hear what more Pete has to offer. Pete, we just went over kind of about the journalist is not your friend, right? And we also covered preparation. And I'm going to just say it, actually, we're not here like to breed fear in terms of like the journalist is not your friend. You know, as I just shared that if you have nothing to hide in whatever conversation you'd have with your friends, then you have nothing to hide, right? I normally say just be transparent. Just really be transparent, that anything that you know does not support your values and does not support the other person's values, well, it's about time you kill it. And as much as I normally sometimes feel sorry when people are saying, I didn't say that, I always think to myself, well, you're carrying a wrong value. Sorry. And probably just as well, you got found out. So there's a deeper problem than it's just the media. The media just basically captured what you said. So if you have nothing to hide, and as you said, you know, we are talking to entrepreneurs, we are talking to business owners, the conversations are going to revolve around that, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so we then talk about context, yes. Yeah. And what would you share with our listeners about context?
Well, I think, you know, it's just context can sort of be everything really, because you got to make sure that your message that you are portraying is the right one, and you've got to know about what context it's going to be shown in. And usually, if we are, as small business people, going to be featured on a program or featured in a newspaper or featured on a blog, the chances are it's not all going to be about us, especially when we first start out. I think this is sort of a big problem that most people have when they first hire a PR company or when they first engage with the media. They kind of think, wow, I've spent the last year or 2 years or 3 years or my whole life creating this amazing product. And in your head, it is amazing. But for everybody else out there, as I'm sure as small business people, we've all found out, everybody is like, so what? So the chances of you getting your thing to excite a journalist who knows that they have this sort of vast audience to entertain, the chances of that happening and you just being the sole focus of a whole program or a whole article or a whole blog piece is quite unlikely. However, what you can be is part of a larger story. And this is sort of one of the big messages that I would try and convey to your audience to get your head around, is that you've got to try and get yourself in the context of a larger story, and be a part of that. And then that is your way in. If you were a good example of a bigger trend that's